What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode interview where every single week we interview top entrepreneurs, top real estate agents, and straight top badasses out there dominating their spaces. They're people choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create big, amazing, epic lives for themselves, for their families, as well as have a big impact on others. And today, you guys, got another rock star special guest on the show. It's actually a good friend of mine. I've known this dude for several years. That's just massively kicking ass, you guys. So our guest today is a real estate agent, real estate team leader, entrepreneur, who's only been in the business for a short period of time. He's going on his third full year in real estate. And his first year, check this out. First year sold 43 homes at $7.9 million in gross volume in his first full year in real estate, which, just to put that in context, your first average year real estate agent makes 10 grand, right? So massive first year. And then again, only on third business now is expanding as a team in place and doing some big things. So really stoked and honored to have my friend Kyle Powers on the show. Welcome to the show, dude.
What's up, man?
Yeah.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked to have you here, man. It's going to be a lot of fun, dude. I mean, the cool thing is I've known you for a couple of years now. I'm being able to watch, dude, your growth and your expansion. And like you're just one of these dudes that you set a goal, you set a vision, and you execute on it, right? Like you're not like, oh, I want to do this. And then you're talking about it for 2 years. You're like, here it is. Let's go, right? Which is just epic to watch, dude.
No, I appreciate that. For sure.
So before we get into, what you doing today and what you've done to create all the success, and if those people that are watching that aren't in real estate, again, and I talked about this in the intro, but I mean, it's almost unheard of, dude, right? Your first year in this business is very difficult, like any business to get going. Like I said, your average first year agent makes 10 grand. It takes a while to build up your book of business. So I want to get into all of that, but I'm always intrigued in our guest journeys that led them here. Like I know you went to college, you went down the corporate path, you had a really solid, good gig there, which you did for about 5 years. And then, man, you just decided to pivot. So you kind of walk us through what that was like and what that journey was like. Why real estate? How did it happen? How did it come about? And how did that transition take place?
That one was quite an experience there. No, man, I went to college. I did the path that everybody tells you: go to college, get a good job, get good insurance, retire, work till you retire. I went to Kansas State University. By the way, I do want to say my town, we've got a town about 55,000 people is where we're at. So Kansas State University is in Manhattan, Kansas. But anyway, I went to college there, graduated. Would have been back in 2009. Came here, like I said, went down the path, did the corporate gig, did all that fun stuff, graduated college, got a job right out of college, is right in the middle of all the crash and all that fun stuff. But I got a job with a mechanical company here in town. So I was actually a plumber by trade.
Okay. Yep.
Shit runs downhill kind of thing. But no, so I got on with a mechanical company, worked in the field with them. I actually had a license. I was a licensed plumber at one point in time. Since it's passed, thankfully. Worked in the field, went into the office at one point. Within about a year, I got promoted to be in the management part of it. Went through, was a project manager for them. At any given time, I was running $15 million worth of work, building hospitals, building fitness centers, doing all kinds of stuff like that. And doing all the plumbing on it, and doing a lot of the mechanical work on it, the plumbing, piping, all that kind of stuff. And truthfully, I just woke up one day and I talked to my wife. We didn't have any kids at the time. But I talked to my wife and I wasn't happy. Like I didn't enjoy where I was. I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. I wasn't enjoying waking up every morning. Every morning I'm showing up at 8 o'clock because that's when I had to be there. And I'd leave at 5 o'clock, clock out, and I'm done. And I go home, and that's it. And I also got my lunch breaks. Don't forget about those. Yeah. And I hated it. I hated it. My home life sucked because I came home pissed off every day because I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing every day. And so it was just, and then every day at Friday, I mean, Hell, I'd add hours to my days on like Monday through Thursday so that I could split early on Friday at like noon. And just it was just I hated doing what I was doing. And if I was honest with myself, I probably knew back when I was in college that I didn't really want to do that. But it was one of those things where I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And ironically enough, I don't tell many people this, but ironically enough, my boss of the mechanical company that I used to work for gave me this book one day back in, oh gosh, would have been 2009. I think it would have been the year I graduated, because I was working part-time with them. Bless you.
Thank you.
Would have been part-time for them, but he gave me this book and said, hey, I really think you should read this. This is a really good book. Because we talked about real estate and all that kind of stuff all the time. And just like everybody else out there, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep.
Dude, it just shifted. Like everything in my head just shifted. And from that point forward, I didn't know when, I didn't know how, but I knew that at some point in time, real estate was going to be where I was. And again, fast forward 5-6 years, and I spent that time doing that. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed a lot of the people I worked with. I enjoyed a lot of the things I did. I just, I didn't enjoy, well, the bottom line of it, I was babysitting grown men. There's 50-year-old men. I was having to talk to them about this guy's girlfriend was talking to this guy and all. I'm not even kidding you, dude. I had them sitting in my office one day, and they're talking to me about how last night at the bar they got in a fight because some guy was talking to his girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing here? So anyway, like I said, I'm 20 at the time. I'm 24, 25 years old, telling these guys double my age. Sorry, I'm half their age, and I'm trying to tell them how to do things and what to do and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know. It would have been 2014. It would have been December of 2014. I finally sat down with my wife and I said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. This isn't what I want to do. I want to find something else to do. She said, well, what if you go to a different company? What if you go to something else? I said, I could do that easily and get a job and get stuff. And I mean, I interviewed and I'd had other offers and stuff like that. But I said, I think it's going to be the same thing, different faces at a different company. Cause that's just what I could tell. Cause I also had friends and family in the industry. And so I kind of had an idea of what was going on, what things were happening. But I said, I got to find something else to do. And it was one of those things where we were like, well, I've always, I think what I find now that I'm in the industry, it's like everybody and their sister is like, oh, I've always thought about real estate. Okay, well, have you done anything? Have you taken any steps to doing it? And obviously the answer is always no. But yeah, I would have been. See, I turn 31 next month, so I would have been. Yeah, I would have been about 28. It was right before my 28th birthday. But I talked to my wife, and so then December, I said, let's try it. What do I got to lose? We don't have any kids right now. I have a degree, a bachelor's degree in construction science and management with a business minor. So I have that always to fall back on if I need to. And so I just kind of like, F it, let's try it. It's funny. I bought the stuff and I bought the tests and I bought everything that I needed to, started studying, doing my stuff, went through the classes, did all that stuff. And then just set the date for my to take my test. And funny story is I actually went in and I went to January. I started interviewing other brokers. And again, I'm a nobody. They don't know me from Joe Schmo down the street, And I start calling people up and I'll be honest. I mean, I was looking for the part-time gig for a while, and I had my old broker. She thankfully talked me out of it. The woman who I ended up going with, but I called up a bunch of different people. I interviewed with them, and I can remember it to this day because I'm sure of it that people were probably looking at me and be like, yeah, okay, kid. Because I went into them and I was like, listen, I'm going to take the test. I'm going to pass it the first time. I need to know where I'm going to hang my license. Are you going to give me what I need or what I want? And I'm sure looking back on it, they're probably like, yeah, okay. It takes people 3 or 4 times to pass this damn thing. And I interviewed with a bunch of people, and I finally landed on one woman who's been in the business for, I think at the time it was 26 years or something, as was her number. And she's been very successful. But anyway, but I did. And so I went in, I took the test, passed my test in March, beginning of March. And I quit. Cold turkey. I quit. I put in my 2 weeks of to my old job, and it actually ended up being a month, but it is what it is. I didn't want to burn any bridges with them, which turns out it's a good thing I didn't, because he's actually referred me a lot of people. But I put in and August 10th, 2015 was a Friday. I was done, walked away. Had no idea what the hell I was doing. Had no idea if I was going to make it or not. And I went after it. And I'll be honest, I actually wrote these numbers down because I was kind of looking at it. You went over my numbers for my first full year for 2016. From April to December, I was not doing what I needed or what I felt I needed or wanted to do. I only had 6 closings and just over $1 million in volume, which, I mean, looking back, I mean, everybody's like, oh, that's so good for your first couple months, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm still not making any money, you know? So yeah, and that was kind of, I guess, to where I'm at this point. I don't know how far you wanted me to go back to it, but, and I went to it and I went to work. Went to work on everything. Do you want me to go how in depth?
Yeah. So let's just with that. Okay. So you made the switch. And unlike most people that have the corporate gig that are making the switch, they kind of float the part-time, start building up a little business, popping a few deals, and then wait to that transition. You're like, boom, burn the ships. Let's do this bad boy. But then you talk about, okay, your first, what's that, 6-7 months, you know, right? 6-7 deals or whatever. But then you end up doing 43 in your first full year. So then something must have clicked or whatever to just bam, catapult you. So first walk us through, because I mean, 7 deals in your first 6 months or so is, you know, I know you were down on yourself. I think that's something that us, like you and I are wired the same, right? Like people are like, oh dude, you're killing it. And deep down we're like, dude, don't give me compliments. I know I'm not fucking killing it. I know I'm right. Because we know our potential is so much higher. You know, kind of walk us through, like, what did you do? Because I think most agents in their first 6 months would love to do 7 deals. It's like, what did you do out of the gate to create that success that you had? And then what had shifted where then, bam, you just start to explode?
Yeah, I guess that's one thing I got to say too. That I'll get to your question there, and then I want to hit on this, but that was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do, was to quit my job. Dude, I'm not kidding you. I had like, and I'm not saying this to brag on myself, because it's more of to kind of understand what had to happen in my mind, or what moment of insanity that I had at that point in time. I mean, I'm in a very small town, comparatively to like a Phoenix market or something. So my cost of living is very, very very low, I guess is my point. And I was in a job that I was making $80,000, $90,000 a year salary. I mean, so all I got to do is show up and show up and make a little money for the company and kind of do my thing there. I had health insurance. I had life insurance. I was getting bonuses. There's a couple of years that I made 6 figures, which everybody, that's the thing, that everybody wants. And I just, like I said, I kind of went, and it was I just realized that my happiness was a little bit more important to me than making that money at that point in time. And so, yeah, I left. I walked away from that corporate job at $80,000, $90,000 salary, and it was a tough thing for me to do, because my wife does not make that much money. Yeah. Not enough for me to sit on my ass all day and not do anything, or at least try this business, So I'll tell you a couple things that shifted. So for me, those couple deals that I had, I've got 2 screens. I'm looking at those 6 deals I had for the first year. So the first one was pure luck. They found my name on a website and called me up. I ended up selling that house in like less than a week. So it was solid. That one sold. So that's what I've got all my numbers and stuff pulled up here. But so my first deal was closed. Oh, I guess this gives you an idea too. So April 13th, that was the Monday I started. I didn't get my first deal. I didn't knock my first deal down until July 2nd was the closing. So there's a span there that I was just, and I didn't have a nest egg. I didn't have anything. I actually, funny thing, I actually refinanced my house. Took about 12 grand in equity out of my house, and that was my nest egg. I worked everything down. I said, okay, we can live for this much at our current living situation, our current living scenario. We can live and make it for about 8 months if we don't stray from this, and I don't have any closings. I didn't have the money there. I didn't have a big, they tell you to have that 6 months, but dude, I didn't have it. When I go back looking at it, I didn't have that shit. Yeah. I was scrambling. And then on top of that, the splits that I had from my old broker just murdered my commissions, and I'm making nothing compared to what I should have been. And it just wrenched my gut every damn time. But anyway, so the first deal was luck. The second deal I had was so I had one that closed July 2nd. I had another one that closed July 28th. And then I didn't have another closing until October. So I had some sporadic couple months for me. But so the first one was luck. The next 2 were friends. One was a listing and one was a buyer. And then I had the next one I might at an open house. And then the next one I was referred to because I was out meeting people, talking to people. She was referred to me by a guy I had met at Chamber Commerce stuff. And then the next one was actually a friend that I had played softball with. So a lot of it was friends for those first couple months. Yeah. So what kicked me in the ass? My wife and I got pregnant in September of that year. My wife and I, oh dude, talk about the gray hairs coming out, man. What changed is my wife and I got pregnant in September of 2015, and it was just like, oh shit, I got to make some fucking money, and I went after it. And truthfully, you can do this with what you will, but honestly, I found you in August of that year. Went through your boot camp and just completely that along with having your know-how and having your plan on everything, that along with having the kick in the ass of I got a baby coming, kind of went for that. And I just, like I said, I just went after it. I told my wife, I said, you're not going to see me until this baby's born. I got to go. And And I, like I said, I went after it, and I actually made a goal in 2015. I made a goal. I said, I'm never going to go, because I told you my months. I'm never going to go a month without a closing. That's my goal. I don't care if it's a $200 paycheck or a $10,000 paycheck, whatever it is. I'm never going to go a month without a closing. And that's been my goal ever since. And honestly, I just realized, looking at these numbers, from the last time I didn't have a closing would have been September of 2015. Yep. Every month. I've had at least one. And now, trust me, there's been some months where I'm like, oh shit, am I going to pull one out on this one? And it's like I said, I've had it, I kind of pushed it and kind of got it on that one. So
yep. Love it, dude. Yeah. And and this isn't like, I'm not saying this because you talked about jumping in the boot camp, and
no, I know,
but I think that those that are watching and listening, the importance of this is, like, I didn't go through the boot camp. Like right? Like I created the boot camp off of my successes,
right?
But I know I had a lot of success early on in the gate because I knew I needed a mentor, and I wasn't going to try to figure this out on my own. So whatever it is, whether it's, jumping into like my boot camp, my mentorship program, or whoever it is, man, the importance of finding a mentor that can show you the path. Because we all know, dude, real estate school doesn't teach you a damn thing other than how to keep your ass out of trouble, right? But then finding that path. So you jump in there, right? And we talk a lot about treating this as a business, being proactive, knowing your numbers and every single day, like knowing if you're winning or losing, what that looks like. So you make this switch, you and your wife are now pregnant. You realize, man, I got to go out there and do this and not just rely on my homies feed me deals and just rely on luck. I got to create a predictable plan. What did you start attacking? I know now, and we'll get into this, that you're doing a lot of successful seminar groups that you go out there and have a lot of success with. Did you start doing that at that time? Or were we going after open houses, or what started that 43 deals in that first year? Like what daily activities were you doing to really generate that?
Yeah, dude, I still, and I don't know if I should admit this to you or not, but I still haven't really implemented everything that you've wanted, or everything that's in that boot camp. I kind of keyed off on a couple of things. I keyed off on the things that I enjoy doing. So again, I guess I got to say this too, is that in this town of 55,000 people, in 2016, I mean, the number's now gone up, but in this town of 55,000 people, there's 250 real estate agents. So literally everybody and their brother says, oh yeah, I know an agent. Okay, great. Why aren't you working with them? Or whatever it is, And so I quickly, and that was kind of the mentality that a lot of people had around me at that point in time. And it was another thing, dude, for me, is that I guess I got to step back to this too. And I'm sorry, you keep kind of reminding me about some stuff too. But when I spent the money to get in your boot camp, which again, I just told you was August, and then my next closing was in October. I was down to nothing. I had like no money left on it. I think I even put your boot camp on a credit card. Best money I ever fucking spent. 100 times over, and that's just a plug for you at that point. But even that, I mean, it's all implementation. I mean, you give the book, but nobody does it. Hell, I just told you, you give me the playbook, and I still have not implemented 100% to what it needs to be. So what I did is I said, okay, what do I have around me? Okay. I don't have money. I don't have any money for myself right now. I need to get some closings on the books. What's the easiest way to get closings? In my mind, and obviously in talking to you, and actually some of the people I was around, was like, Kyle, you got to do open houses. And I did a couple opens. I did a couple of things that I had running. I did some things that I had, but it wasn't like, nobody was showing up to anything. Nobody was showing up to any of my opens, and I was doing it the same way that everybody's always done it, where it's throw 2 signs out, hold an open house, put an ad in the paper, done. So I was like, okay, there's got to be a different way. There's got to be a better way. And that's kind of when I started looking on some stuff, some more training and some more things like that. And I think by grace of God, you came across one of my Facebook feed or something like that. And I clicked on it. And actually, I don't know if you remember this, and I don't expect you to, but I actually called you personally one night. And before I bought the class, before I bought the boot camp, and talked to you a little bit about it, and you kind of talked me into it. Glad you did. But and you talked me into it, and I pulled the trigger on it, and went into it. And as you know, and as you said a number of different times, I mean, it's like drinking out of a fire hose. So what I decided to do is I said, I'm going to pick a couple of things out of this, and I'm going to run with it. And truthfully, man, I did the squeeze pages that you go over in there, the free squeeze pages, because I didn't have any money. And I just started hammering open houses. I hammered them. I mean, I was diligent with everything. I didn't have anything else to do, so why not do open houses, and why not? And I had time to call them. I kind of follow up with everybody. And I just started going after it. And I grew my database that way. And I just started going, and it just kind of picked up some momentum with me. And I just started, next thing I know, I'm holding open houses, and I actually had, so you teach your open house way, and I do it to a T. But I had somebody one time, I was at a listing. Oh, that was the other part too. So I was not on her team. I was an individual agent, but I was with an agent who has a very large team and does 26 million, 25, an average of 25 million a year. And so she's got listings galore. And she gave those to me, not the listings, but she said, here, I need an open house. I'm like, I'll do it. When do you want it? I'll do it. Sundays? Great. I'll do it. Can I do one on Saturday? And I just hammered them. So I had that available to me. And then I actually had one listing that I had snagged as well on my own. And so I went to town on that one. And I'm not kidding you, I had probably 2 months solid where it was once a week I was doing an open on that one house. And I just hammered it until I couldn't get anybody else coming. And so I started getting some momentum with that stuff, and I just went after it. That's how I got the buyers. Because I had the opens, I had the know-how, and I actually spent, it was spending money is hard for me, or was hard for me, is still hard for me a little bit, but especially when I didn't have any. But I also bought, I remember I waited until they were on sale, and I actually bought just generic as hell open house signs. And we're in an area that we have, there's dirt on the side of the road, grass, so I can actually take them in. Yeah, I can take, like, I was looking to see if I had any, but I had the wire stakes, so it wasn't the tents. And I still have those today, actually, and I look at them today, and they're just thrashed. I mean, they are just garbage right now, but I still use them. And it was the best $150 I ever spent. Best $150 I ever spent, because again, I've made thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars just on those signs. Because what happens is they come into my house, my open house, and now I'm going through, and now I've got you. One, I've got you signing in. Two, I'm going to follow up with you because I got nothing better to do. So I'm going to follow up with your ass, and you're going to get tired of hearing from me. And once you're tired of hearing from me and tell me to F off, I'll call you in a month. We'll see you then. Yep. Or you're going to sign, or you're going to block my number. I mean, that was kind of the mentality I went with. And that was for about 6 months. I went to that, and I just hammered them. And that was a slow time. That was a slow time of the year, quote unquote, slow time, where it was January to June. And so that was a big one for me. So open houses, I actually did door knocking for a while. I hit on some doors. Never really got much traction with it. I did it because I enjoyed it. I was one of those sick people that actually enjoyed doors shut in your face.
One of the few.
Yeah. But what I would also do with that is anytime I would get a listing, I'd say, okay, here's my house. I'm going to go 5 doors this way, knock on every one of them. I'm going to go 5 doors this way, knock on every one of them. And then I go across the street and I do the same thing. So I'm getting 20 houses, knocking on the doors, and at least getting my name out there and talking to people. And again, like I said, I never, I'm trying to think. I never got a listing, and I may have gotten one buyer from it, from somebody referring me from meeting them at an open house, or by knocking on their door. And then I would just go knock on doors. So that would be one. Like I said, I don't do that as much anymore, just because one, I don't have time, and two, the return wasn't there. So I don't do that, but I did that at that point in time. And truthfully, I think, if I'm being honest, is it helped me get over my fear of talking to people, because I've never been in sales before, never been in sales ever. Hell, I was in construction. I sat behind a desk and told people what we need to be doing, or I was running a core drill or putting pipe up, never was in sales, never did any of that kind of stuff. So it kind of helped me get over that fear of talking to people and doing that stuff. So anyway, I did that. What else? Expireds, I hammered expireds too. Anytime one would come up, I'd call them, or I would actually physically go to their house and knock on their door. And I would get the listings that way, and I would pull those out. That's how I got a lot of those. And I still do. I still hammer expireds, not as much as I should be, but I still try to get those going too. So
then if we fast forward to today, right? So going on your third year, you did, roughly 8 million your first full year. You did, and you grew another, you did what, 8.5, 9 million your second year. Now this year, you've created a team. The goal is 16 million, which looks like you're on track to hit that. So, almost doubling your business. What does it look like today? Are you still doing open houses? Are you still doing expireds? What are your main big pillars today?
Yeah. So in 2016, I had a goal I set a goal of myself. I think I talked about it earlier, but I never finished the thought. I set a goal to have an open house every single week, minimum. I was doing 52 open houses a year, for the whole year. I didn't care if I needed to double up one week. I'd do that so that I could go to Christmas or something like that. I allowed myself to go to Christmas. So anyway, that was my goal then. And then I also set my income goal of what I wanted to make. I achieved it that first year. But so now today, I don't have that goal anymore. But I've kind of, I'll say almost organically, I guess, grown a little bit as far as the team and everything goes. So I still try to still focus on a lot of open houses, and I still pull clients from open houses. And that's, if I'm like on board on a Sunday, I don't have anything going on, and I've got a couple listings that I know want me to do an open house or something, I'll go pull an open house, and I'll either do it myself, or really what I do is I've got a gal who approached me last year. She approached me last year and was wanting some mentorship and things like that. I said, listen, I'm not ready to start a team yet, but I'll bring you on my team and kind of give you an inside access to who I am and what I do, and kind of give you an idea on that one. And she's doing well. She actually outsold me in her first 7 months. In my first 7 months and her first 7 months, she outsold me, which is really cool to see, I think. But anyway, so that is still very much a pillar. And the reason I bring her up is because I still preach to her open houses. Open houses, open houses, open houses. You want buyers, do open houses. And then we also do some lead gen with squeeze pages, and then we do paid ads now, so I don't have to necessarily go do the postings and stuff. So we do Facebook ads is a big one for us right now. That's huge for us. Like that's where I get a lot of leads. And it's just it's more along the lines of, where's your time best spent? For me, my son's 1.5 years old now. I like being home with him. Yep. Now, I also know that I need to provide for my family, so I'm not going to spend every weekend at an open house, but I'm gonna probably take 2 weekends, 2 Sundays out of the month to go hold an open and all that kind of stuff. And that just depends on the month. I mean, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 1. But open houses are still really big for me. The other thing of it is that nobody does them. Nobody does them the way I do them in this town. Nobody. I've been doing it. I have not changed a damn thing for working on 3 years now, and nobody still does them the way I do them. And what I'm talking about is putting out the number of signs, doing the sign-ins, doing all that kind of stuff. So they're wasting their time. They're wasting their time in that sense. They might pull some leads and stuff that way. But to this day, people still, other agents in my market, they're still like, oh, Kyle's the open house guy. And they don't do it. They just don't take the time.
Doesn't that blow your mind, dude? Like you're the number one guy in your office, one of the top agents in your marketplace, and nobody copies what you do.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Now, for anybody that watches it, don't copy me. No, in my market at least. But yeah, I don't get it. Like I don't understand it. And so I still do those. I teach my team how to do that. And that's what I preach to them on, how to do that kind of stuff and kind of pull that out. And then the follow-up. I mean, that's still a big one, huge one for us. So trust me, I get yelled at. I have actually gotten yelled at. And so is one of my agents on the team, that she got yelled at by a different agent saying that the HOA doesn't allow this, blah, 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 blah. One, there's no HOA in the damn neighborhood. Yeah. And two, she was just upset and she thought she was coming to see me. And I had this one agent, she still claims to this day that she didn't do it, but I brought all my signs, brought them back into the house, into the neighborhood and everything that I was coming to. Well, she took one of them. She was having an open house the same day, took one of my signs, turned it into her open house. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? That was the day I started branding all my signs. Yeah, love it, dude. But anyway, back to your question. So squeeze pages, Facebook ads, open houses are a big one, and expireds. I mean, those are really really two of those are Facebook. So Facebook's a big one for me. Yep. And then working past clients, talking to them, I get some referrals and stuff that way. And that's what I enjoy doing there too. Obviously those are always fun. Yeah. And I know from previous conversations, you've had some good success with buyer seminars and host seminars. And, I don't know if it's something that you're still doing today, but I know you've had big success with them. And when it comes to these buyer seminars, man, is this kind of one of these things where it's like, okay, we're doing our Facebook ads, we're doing our open houses, we're driving these leads. Now that we have these leads, we're going to try to get these leads to a buyer seminar to take that next step. So it's nurturing the leads you already have, or are you using these buyer seminars as a new lead gen source? And then from there, just kind of walk us through what you're doing, because it's very intriguing to a lot of people. And I've never personally done them, and it's something that I haven't mastered. But I'm like, man, anytime you can get a group of people in a room, like why would I want to do one-on-one listing presentations when I could do 20 listing presentations or 20 buyer consultations to everybody in the room, right? So is that something that you're still doing today? Absolutely. Absolutely. So that started the December of 2016. That was our first one. It was December 2016. I grouped, it was actually kind of a cumulative deal, but we had 4 people at the time. We had a lender, myself, a insurance agent, and a title guy. Obviously nobody really knows or really cares about title as long as the damn thing shows up clear, clear to close. That's all anybody ever cares to hear. So anyway, that started December 2016. Before I even started with any of this, I took that group, that original 4, and I said, listen, I will bring you guys in on this and we will do this, but I want a commitment that we're going to do this every single month. I don't care if we have nobody show up or if we have 50 people show up, but I want to do this every single month. And the thought process behind it was, I'm going to do this every single month. I'm going to focus on Facebook advertising, and we're going to start pushing everything out there. And so what we did is, my thought behind it was like, okay, well, whether you're coming to my seminar or not, it's just another way for me to say I'm doing real estate in the area, And so it's just another way for people to see that I'm out there still hustling, out there still growing, still still shaking stuff up, you know? And again, still to this day, I actually just hung up the phone with somebody who was asking me, a lender who's not on the team, good lender, but he just wasn't a part of that original group that started this with me. But he was asking me about it today. He said, "Are you still doing this?" And he says, "You're the only one that does this, man. You're the only one that does this." I said, "Good. I'll keep it that way." And so, yeah, so I did. I made a commitment to myself, and I tried making them make a commitment as well, that it's every month. I don't care if nobody shows up. I want to show up, and I want to be there just in case there's stragglers, and we can leave after 15 minutes if nobody shows up. But so we've done that. Now, again, we're a year and a half into it. No, year and 3 months into it, I guess. I've actually got one tonight, ironically enough. So we're about a year, 3 or 4 months into it. And there's days that we have nobody show up. There's days we strike out altogether. But that's fine. Again, I look at it as I'm still getting out there. I'm still sharing. I'm still doing my Facebook ads. I'm still sharing it on my Facebook saying, "Hey, I've got a seminar tonight. or next week, I've got a seminar, sign up." Again, it's another way of not saying buy a house, buy a house, buy a house, or sell a house, sell a house, sell a house, and shoving real estate down your throat. It's, "Hey, I'm here. I'm doing this tonight if you want to show up. You know, we've got free food. We got free drinks. And we'll be here."
And honestly, man,
go ahead.
I get imagine, not to cut you off there, but all right, nobody shows up, right? Let's just say 50% of the time nobody shows up. Well, you still have yourself, all your other vendor partners that are entrepreneurs, business owners, right? It could easily just turn into, "Hey guys, we're going to strategize and turn this into a valuable networking group where we can all help each other grow each other's business." So no matter what, it's not a waste, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. And there's times where even me, I'm like, I'm glad nobody showed up today. I'm leaving. I haven't seen my kid in a week. I got to go home. Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the thing is that we've grown, we've changed. I mean, it's an ever-growing process, an ever-growing system on it too, is that honestly, we did from the original 4, one of the real estate agents backed out. Then the title company guy kind of got busy and he wasn't showing up anymore. And so the lender and we were like, "Dude, why are we including these guys? Let's just cut them out. Realistically, they have the shortest portion of it anyway." So we cut them out. I not say we cut them out. They phase themselves out. Yeah, they phase themselves out because it's not like, "Hey, we're done. You guys get out of here." Truthfully, we just quit inviting them. After so many times when they don't show up or don't have any interest in it, we're like, "Okay, well, why are we wasting our time with having you even here?" So, and it's not to say that we wouldn't take them back in. But anyway, so then the lender and I did it. It was just the 2 of us. And we've been doing it for about 6 months or so, successfully. And I mean, we're getting, I would say an average, we are getting 5 to 10 people. And again, keep that in scale. I've got 55,000 people in my town. And I'm only marketing to that town, to my town. I'm not marketing to other areas. So my targeted ads and all that stuff. And as of recently, we actually had a different insurance agent ask us to come back out, or asking us about it and all that kind of stuff. We were like, "Yeah, I mean, why not? Let's see what you have, different site, different eyes, and let's see if we can change it or grow it and make it a little bit better, you know?" So he's coming in with us tonight. Like I said, I have one actually tonight. But yeah, and then tonight, there's one, we've only got one couple, to my knowledge, unless they've added a couple people. But we've only got one couple coming, which that's fine. Truthfully, I like that better because we get a one-on-one and it's very laid back. And that's the other thing too. When we first started, we were doing it at the real estate insurance agent's office. We had beer there, we had soda there, we had everything there, food, drinks, everything. And it was really just laid back. And now we're at a bank, so we can't necessarily put beer on the table, but we tried to make it pretty laid back, and we'll set we'll sit, I tell them I use your line on it. And I'm just like, listen, we plan on an hour. I will be here till 10 o'clock. If you have questions till that long, I want to make sure that you're getting a good idea of what's going on. And honestly, I would say if people are showing up, we're pulling a deal out of it every time. Yeah. At least one deal, if not more. I was looking, I had that's the other thing too. So then I also take a picture while I'm there and post a picture on Facebook. Hey, look at me, I'm doing real estate again. Yeah. And I post, Facebook memory came up to me today, and I was looking at it. I was looking close, earlier this week. I was looking close at who's in that class, like who was attending the class. Everybody in that class, I'd either sold them a house or I am currently selling them a house right now. Yeah. Which is just made me smile a little bit. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, it's just consistency too.
It's the only magic pill that exists out there, right? Yeah. And that's, I think, one common thing, if anybody's watching and listening to this, is you start this path and you don't stop unless you've done it long enough, like the door knocking, where you're assessing and analyzing results. Right? Hey, this isn't the good use of my time. But when it's something that is working, you just stick with it and that consistency. And so I've got just some really specific questions of breaking down this process, right? Because you got to organize the event, you've got to get them to show up to the event, you got to provide value at the event, and then obviously figure out how you pivot into closing them, either at the event or after the fact. So, you talked about having this at the insurance agent office, now it's at the bank. Have you found value or importance of not having it at your real estate office and having it at more of kind of a neutral ground?
So truthfully, the only reason I didn't do it at my office, because I would have absolutely loved to have it here. Only reason I didn't start it at my office because I didn't have an office at the time. Yeah. It would have been like, hey, everybody, show up at my house and we'll see you there. I honestly don't think the location matters. I don't think the location matters. I've had it at the insurance office. We're having it at the bank. I could have it at my office here too. I don't think that matters because people aren't looking. I've agents all over the country that have actually asked me about this part of the group, the mastery group. They're doing them at libraries. They're doing them at, if they have enough people, they're doing them at college lecture halls. So I've seen, I honestly don't think it matters the location. I think it just matters. It's a known location. You don't want to take them down some dark alley to kind of get them back in there. Yeah. You just want them to be, hey, I'm at this bank at this time. Hey, I'm at this insurance office at this time. Or hey, I'm at this place at this time. Because truthfully, that was the other part. The other thing driving me behind doing this program is that what I decided is I really, really, really enjoy first-time home buyers. Like that's where I connect with people really well. Probably a lot because of my age. I'm right in there with that age range with them. But I just enjoy it. Now, is that the smartest and best use? Probably not, because that price range is from like 120 to like 180 is that price range, where if I were to kind of, and I've actually thought about this, I'll touch on this different ideas I've got too, but I just enjoy those people truthfully because they don't question.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is you get to the point as you expand your team where maybe it's not the best and highest use of your time, but there's always agents on your team that it's going to be a great use of their time. And I love first time buyers, right? Like for a lot of reasons, they're excited and you don't necessarily get some of that pushback. But then too, you develop that connection and that relationship where for the next, they're going to be buying and selling every 5 years for the next 20, 30 years of their life. And, of course, all the friends, family referrals, all of that. So, all right. So, talk about location. The next step then is advertising to get them to show up, right? So I know you talked about some Facebook ads that you do and Facebook posts. Are you also like, hey, I got all these leads in my system that we haven't converted and inviting them and doing like a mass email to them? Like, what is that strategy to get the awareness out there to get people to register?
Yeah. So here's what we had decided a long time ago. Truthfully, not a long time ago. I had some pushback from originally, because I created this flyer and I put down my logo, the bank's logo that I use, or that I'm for the seminar, the insurance agent that was there, and then the title company. I put all the logos on one and said, "This is where we're at. This is who's doing it." I had some pushback from other people in the group, and they're like, I don't really feel comfortable. I'm working with other real estate agents. I'm working with other banks. I'm doing all that kind of stuff. I said, okay, no worries. I don't care. As long as you bring people to the table, I don't care. So at that point, I wiped everybody else's stuff off there, and I started my own. They're still in the group, obviously, but I just did my marketing for just my team. And just my logo and just for my office. And so what I did is, at that point in time, I just hammered Facebook. That was literally the only thing I did. Facebook. And I again, at that point, I was running paid ads. I wasn't doing any kind of free stuff. I was still doing free stuff, but I was mainly doing paid ads.
And targeting first-time buyers?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Cool.
Yep. But what that's now, and then I left it on with everybody else in the group. I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to throw X amount of dollars at it. I want to get some people in the door, and you guys can kind of figure it out. We'll do that. And you can pay for ads if you want. If not, then I want you to pay for food or drinks or whatever that ends up being. So it kind of keeps everybody on a level pay in, pay out kind of thing, and we made a verbal agreement at that point. We were like, you know what, if somebody calls up and says, hey Kyle, I'm looking for a house, I'm going to send an email or a text message to the lender. I'm going to send an email or text message to the insurance agent, and make sure that we say, hey, FYI, you need to follow up with this guy or girl. She asked me about looking for a house, and so we kind of worked that circle of that. But what it's evolved to has kind of been, it's an added tool. It's an added tool for our team, is what it is. So what happens is that, I also do I do a lot of trade shows, home shows, bridal shows, stuff like that. Love them. Absolutely love them. They're we just did one. It's, it was March 3rd and 4th and 5th of this year. And I pulled my team together. I bought a booth to go in there, but, you can't beat it. It's like 3,000 people. It's like holding an open house and having 3,000 people come through the open house. It's amazing. But anyway, so I also have those out, and I say, okay, here's my flyer, first time homebuyer seminar. We're going to be here. We hold them every single month, third or fourth week of the month. And would you be interested? Yeah, maybe. Okay, fine. So I write down their email. I get in contact with them, and I start talking to them. I start following up with them. And I use that so many times. Heck, I was just talking to, I met somebody at a my wife works at a furniture store. So I was there seeing her, and love my kid for this, because he actually was, whether he was flirting with her or just playing with this kid. My kid's 1.5. Remember, found this girl was about his age. He starts playing with the little girl, so we start talking to the parents. They just moved into town. They're just all this other stuff. And so I was like, hey, I actually offer this first-time homebuyer seminar. I'd love to get you guys in here and kind of give you an idea for the area, give you an idea of what's going on, all that kind of stuff, and give you a good knowledge, a good base knowledge of what you can expect when you go to buy a house here in the area. And I also go in the fact of, you don't see this as much, but I have run into it a couple times. I don't care if you're working with an agent or not. If I have my ideal, you're not working with an agent, which if you're coming to the class, more than likely you're not working with an agent. Or if you are, then the agent's not really doing their job, and they're coming to me, why are you with that agent, But I open it up to everybody, and I hammer out Facebook. I mean, Facebook, and then just having it as a tool in my tool bag. I will tell you, as of right now, I am in the process of changing, because I've been striking out lately. Been getting a couple zeros in a row, and I'm not liking it. So I'm like, okay, I rode that horse. Let's try and see about doing a different way. Maybe I need to change advertising. Maybe I need to change targeting. Maybe I need to change things that way. But I don't foresee myself In the near future, I don't foresee myself ever stopping.
Yeah.
Just one, because I enjoy it. It's a break from everything else I do. And two, like I said, I enjoy being around. That's my ideal client right now is first time home buyers, because again, they're easy to get along with. They don't ask me questions. Let me rephrase it. They don't act like they know everything. And three, they just listen, and it's so nice.
Yeah. So the cool part is, I mean, you talked about, okay, lately we've been striking out, so you're going to revamp your strategy, but you talked about, hey, once we get them there, we always are getting deals. So let's talk about the event itself, because it sounds like once you get them in, how you guys host the event is badass. And I also, just real quick, and I know you already said this, but I think that it's important to just kind of reiterate of, you don't care if they're working with another agent. And, you know, that's where my mind would go to if I were hosting these, of like, look, dude, if they're not working with another, or if they are working with another agent, get them in, we can start that relationship. So maybe I get them down the road or wherever, but I've got these other partners, title, insurance, lenders. I can't be totally selfish. So maybe they're working with another agent, but maybe it's an opportunity to add value to them and get them there, which creates everybody more excitement and value to everybody that's participating. So then talk to us about how the event is held, right? Because I'm sure it's, you know, education. So your lender's educating, you're educating. Like how is it overall structured inside the event?
Yeah. So yeah, to your point, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the reason why I don't really care if they have an agent or not. Again, I hope they don't, or I hope they haven't signed a contract yet, because I'm going to try and convert you. Yeah, so we start at 6 on the dot. I don't care if you're late. That doesn't matter. Come in, be quiet, but come in, sit in the back, and we can hit questions that you might have or anything of that nature. Because again, we don't so many times, in my opinion, so many times stuff like that just gets really stuffy. And it's like you trying to put yourself on this pedestal of like, I'm smarter than you, don't ask stupid questions kind of stuff. Well, that's why we're here. We're here. That's why my lender partner and I, that's why we said, we're here to educate the public. You know, we want to make sure that you know what the steps are of buying a house, where everybody fits in, where initially the idea was where the title guy fits in, where the insurance fits in, where the lender fits in, and where I fit in. And we're here to educate. And that's all we were there for. That's all we initially started it for, is just education. And so anyway, we start at 6, and we've kind of switched the order up a little bit. And initially I started, just kind of went with an introduction on everything, kind of gave the house tour, if you will, like here's the bathroom, here's this, you know, kind of gave them and kind of told them it was going to be laid back. But anyway, so right now what it lays out to be is, it says we have the lender go first, because again, we changed it because in our thoughts we're like, okay, what happens first?
Pre-qual.
Should happen. You should get a pre-qualification, right? So lender goes first. He gets about, we shoot for about 15, 20 minutes a piece. He gets about 15, 20 minutes. I get about 15, 20 minutes. And then we try for a Q&A at the end. But now, obviously, I told you we're adding an insurance agent in today, or tonight. And so we'll give me about 20, him about the lender 20, me 20, and we'll probably give him about 5 or 10 minutes just to kind of touch on it and say, you know, here's house insurance, here's flood insurance, here's this, and have any questions, you know. But the style we use is, and again, there's a million different ways to do it, but the style we use is a PowerPoint. So we kind of put some slides together. We kind of go through the whole process. We have a military base here locally. And so we go through VA loans. We go through all that, the first time home buyer loans. We go through conventional loans, because we'll still get people that can afford a conventional that don't necessarily need to do a first time home buyer loan or first time home buyer grants or anything like that. So anyway, lender does his thing, and then I go through the entire process. You know, talks about buyer agency, talks about showing houses, talks about, I also reiterate on pre-qualification, pre-approvals, inspections. And I mean, I go through the entire thing. and I just have a PowerPoint that says, first we start looking at homes, and I actually put on there, my average home buyer looks at an average, or my typical clients look at an average of 5 homes before they make an offer. I might be fudging some numbers, but
yep.
I also want to, but the reason I do that is I want them to say, oh man, okay, well, I don't need to go looking at 100 different houses before I make an offer. So I'm just kind of guiding that process of how, and I always, at that point in time, I always make a joke. I'm like, now listen, I'm not going to cut you off at 5. Like, we hit 5, we're done, walk away. And it usually kind of lightens stuff up a little bit too. But I want that seed in their head, because I want them to know, like, okay, well, I don't need to waste everybody's time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we run with it from that portion of it. Again, then the insurance agent does their thing. And I will tell you, I have literally never been in a presentation that did not take an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It usually takes that long or more. But the other part of that too is that I encourage the attendees to come in and say, raise a hand. I want you to ask questions. Ask me now. We'll stop. And we don't have like, this is our itinerary at 6 o'clock. We do this slide. At 6:05, we do this slide.
Yeah. Just flow with it.
Yeah. Because otherwise it gets to that part where it's like, okay, well, I can't ask questions because I don't want him to stop what he's doing, And that's why I say we kind of give a break on that one. And I've been in it where the lender's taken 45 minutes for his slides. I'm like, dude, what the hell? And then I still go into mine, and we still take, now 2 hours later, they're still there and they're still talking to us, which in my mind, I'm like, sweet. So you really do want to buy a house. Otherwise you would have walked your ass out. But anyway, so we kind of go through that. And like I said, we've got a whole presentation that we go through, but after the presentation, I make a point. Oh, we also have some handouts. The commitment form is one of them I hand out. I created a document. I call it duh moments. And it talks about what you shouldn't do, what you should and shouldn't do with credit scores and all that kind of stuff, so that you kind of have an idea. Because, you don't want them going out and buying a new car. You don't want them going out and buying furniture for the new house. So I have all those in a sheet that I give to everybody. Just more of a handout. Again, they're never gonna use it realistically. I'm gonna give it to them again when they come and sign a buyer agency agreement with me. My lender gives them a pre-qual form for them to fill out right then and there if they really want to. And then I also give them, I don't have it here or right within arm's reach, but I give them we give them a review form. And that one right there is like, that is absolute key. Like, I'm not doing this course to not have your review form. Because if I just do that, then I never hear from you again. I don't know what you want, what you need, and what you're expecting. So what I do, 2 reasons the way I do them. One, I have everybody RSVP to the event. One, because I need to know food count, obviously, and that's the reason I use. But the real reason is because I want them to send me an email, so I have your email. And so I can follow up with you. Some people call, some people text, but I want you to send me your email so I can get you on that way, which again, then my follow-up process starts. So anyway, so then that review form, what that review form does, again, it gives name, number, email, and then it goes through and we ask a number of different things. The big ones that I always focus on are I'm losing my mind. We want to know how we did. So we have them rate us 0 to 10. Before you came in, how much did you know? After you came in, do you feel better about it? And usually all of them give us 9s or 10s after the fact, which whatever, because we always want to know how we can improve it.
Yep.
Then we ask them, how soon are you looking to buy? We ask them what price range you're looking in. We say what payment range you're looking in. Honestly, I think I took a lot of your buyer lead questionnaires and took a lot of those questions and stuck them on there. How soon are you looking to buy? That was a big one. Price range, how soon, payment range. Yeah. And that gives, if you're in a lease, we ask them if you're in a lease, because most first-time home buyers were usually competing with leases. If that lease can be broken, all that kind of stuff.
Do you ask anything like as far as like house features? Like,
no, because I do it where it's just a front back. It's a front back page. I don't want to inundate them with a ton of information, because truthfully, I don't care at that point. Unless you tell me you're ready to buy tomorrow, which if you're ready to buy tomorrow, I'm setting an appointment with you that night. I don't care. I don't focus on that as much, just because I'll get to that later in the process. Once we do the buyer agency, once we do the dream home, once we do all that stuff, that's what I get to. So no, I don't hit that one. A big one, a huge question that I always ask, it's in there on the form, is who else do you know that could benefit from this class? And what is their information, and when can I reach out to them? And we've gotten referrals from that. I don't know how many times, of people saying, yeah, so-and-so told me that you guys do this first time home buyer seminar. Absolutely. Come on in. We want you. Oh, that's another thing too. So I want to stress this. I don't care. And I tell people this, either on the phone or if they're texting me or whatever, but I don't care if you're ready to buy tomorrow or if you're ready to buy in 5 years, because my theory with it is, you're going to buy a house from me, whether it's today or whether it's tomorrow or whether it's in 5 years, because I'm going to follow up with you enough that you're going to remember who I am, and you're going to know who I am. And by the time you're ready, we've created this epic relationship that you aren't going to go anywhere else. And truthfully, I get referrals from that too. Never dealt with them before, but they still like, hey, you got to use my guy Kyle. I'm like, okay, I've never done anything with you, but sweet, let's do it. So yeah, that one's a huge question for me. That was a big one for me. And like I said, we've pulled some closings out of it from that.
Yeah. So you got the event going on, right? Which sounds to me, it's just like almost a group in-depth buyer consultation, just like you're one-on-one doing a buyer consultation, going through processes, where you're at risk, where you're protected, timelines, monetary investment, loan programs. Get done with that, open a Q&A, answer other questions, do the review form. Now then from there, do you have any type of like a close that you go into? Or is it just like, hey, if you want to talk more on a one-on-one level, my lender and I will be here. You can come talk with us. And then more of the closes on the follow-up with them after the fact based on the review form? Or is there any type of a close process there? Or do you just keep it where it's totally casual, totally comfortable?
Yeah. So great question. We are very strict on keeping it casual. I don't go for the hard close at that time unless you're telling me that you want me to, and then I'll get you. But it's a very, so I won't be tonight, but I'm usually last. At the process. And so I make it a point. Obviously I'm up talking, I've got the TV behind me doing the PowerPoint. I'm standing up, going through my thing. My lender partner sitting in the back, just kind of BSing and starting. And that's the other thing too, is that we actually interject sometimes on each other. Be like, hey, what about this? Just to kind of get the process rolling on that. But anyway, so after I finish up, I close. Do you have any questions? Usually no, not much. So then at that point, we give them that review form and I sit down. Everybody else is sitting down, going through the review form. I've literally, unless somebody's got to leave, I've never had anybody not fill out their review form. But I sit down and I just start talking. I just pick one person who's been the most, usually it's the person who's been the most inquisitive, I guess, the one who's most asking the most questions. And I just pick them and I start asking them questions while they're filling out their review form. It happens every time. It just starts conversation and we just go. And what I view that as, it's like, okay, this is now my time to build this connection. I'm going to build this connection with you so that no matter what, if you don't have an agent already, then you're going to come to me because I want to make sure of that. And actually I had I had a client who was not a client, a customer that came into the seminar, and they told me from the beginning, they're like, "Hey, Kyle, we're not looking to buy in Manhattan, but we're really curious about the process. Can we still come?" Absolutely. Absolutely. Come on out. And so they just popped in my head. And so, they told me all that. And so I was like, okay, well, I started talking to them. I'm like, listen, I don't care if I'm not the one helping you. Come back to me when you're ready to buy a house, because I can hook you up with somebody in a different market, and they will take good care of you, and they'll make sure that they're taking good care of you. And if they're not, I need you to tell me so I can make sure that I take them off my referral list, which I don't have a freaking referral list, but whatever, they think I do. But anyway, so I make it very casual. I make it very casual, and I just sit down and I have a conversation. And what always ends up happening is I might have one or two that end up leaving, but what always ends up happening is that people start asking more questions, and it's very laid back, very, well, what if I don't have I'm amazed. I'm absolutely amazed every single time of how much these people are divulging, like finance wise, with all these strangers in the room, and, that they don't know. And it's like, they don't know if they're going to take their information, and I guess it doesn't matter, but they don't know them from anybody else. And so they start saying, well, I've only got $3,000 for a down payment. What can I do with that? Or I'm only looking for this, and I've got this, and my credit score is this. I'm like, you're telling all these people this, you realize that. But I think it's because we keep it casual, and we don't. And I use the line of, we're not high pressure people. We will never high pressure. We don't like high pressure being done to us. So you will never expect that from us. And if you ever feel that way, I want you to tell me, because I will back off right away. But no, we don't go for the hard close at that point in time. Because again, I want them, it's all about the feeling. It's all about the feeling that they get when they leave. I want to make sure they have good information. I want to make sure that they liked us, and I want to make sure that they are liked us enough that they're going to give us a call back later. I do tell them, here's my cell phone, here's my lender's cell phone, here's this. If you walk out of this tonight, even tonight, if you have a question, call us, text us, email us, get a hold of us. We want to, if you want to set a time to do a one-on-one, and we can kind of go through the process and get things rolling on that point of it. That's the way we run with it at that point. And then what actually happens is I do under 6 months, if you're looking for a house, 6 to 12 months, or a year plus. And depending on what you circle, I start a drip campaign and I start my follow-up.
Yeah.
I just put them in there and I go after it.
Love it. I got to imagine, man, because you guys do such a good job because if people are disclosing credit scores or whatever, it just shows how well you're doing of making everybody comfortable. And those follow-up questions, because they've already experienced a couple hours of you guys with no pressure, just being laid back. Again, it just continues that comfort level. And I got to imagine that's a huge part of the success.
Oh, it's amazing the amount of work that it works. It works. And again, everybody knows I do it. All the realtors know I do it. Nobody does it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, I found out a couple months ago, I actually pushed one of them out of our market.
That's awesome. Yep. Love it, dude. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I appreciate you going so in depth on that, dude. Because I know it's something that, well, you see it like in our Mastery Alumni group, we have so many people asking questions, and I get asked on the podcast all the time. I'm like, guys, I can give you my best guesses, but I've never done it, so I love it that you went so in depth, because it's something that you're killing it with. And I know we're going long on time here. And unfortunately, I'd love to keep picking your brain for another 2 hours, but another podcast here starting in a few minutes. Yeah. So, those that are watching and listening, dude, are here because they want to go out there and create a better life for themselves and their families. Do you have any last words of advice or inspiration that you'd like to leave the listeners with so they can go out there and do exactly that?
Get on Josh's mastery. No. Of course. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the size of the market, because that was a mental block for me. That was a huge mental block for me that I had to overcome. Because I see, like, again, for you, I mean, I don't know what units you did this year or last year, whatever it was, but you sit there and you say, okay, you're in a market of, I don't know how many people are in your market.
4.5 million.
Yeah. I'm in a market of 55,000 people. So it's easy for me to sit here and say, yeah, Josh, you're doing the numbers you're doing because you have 4.5 million people to work from. Okay. Well, but I also sat here and I was like, okay, I'm sitting in a marketplace that has 250 people, 250 agents, and 55,000 people. I was ranked, I checked this, I was ranked number 14 out of 250 agents. I was in the top 5% of my agents in my market. These are agents that are have been in the business for 20 plus years. And I'm out there doing the stuff that I'm doing. But the biggest part of it is two things. Get rid of that mind block. It doesn't matter the number of people. There's another, I won't say her name on here, but I know you know who I'm talking about. She's in the alumni group, and she's in a very small rural community. Because she talked at one of the first alumni groups, masterminds. But she's in a very small community. Same kind of scenario where she's killing it. Same thing here is that it doesn't matter the size of the market as long as you stay consistent. Be in touch with those people. I have so many people that when I first meet them, they're like, oh, no, I got an agent. I'm like, okay, who is it? Oh, it's so-and-so. Okay, well, have you signed a buyer agency? No, we're looking in like 6 months to a year. We're looking for them at that point. Okay, great. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're okay with it, I'll continue checking in with you, continue to follow up with you. And then if you have any questions along the way, if said agent is not there for you or anything, I want you to call me. I don't care if I'm number one, phone call, I want to be your number two.
Yeah.
And what happens is that, and then what I always do too is that I try to friend them on Facebook and start following them. So like there's this guy, client, that exact scenario happened to me. I met him in an open house. And a year later, we I just continued to follow up with him, and I saw that he was going to like Africa and all this kind of stuff for business and all this stuff. So I just shoot him a text or shoot him a call and just say, hey man, how are things going? I saw you're in Africa. How was that? Did you enjoy it? That's it. No shoving real estate down his throat, nothing. I just was building that relationship. So the biggest thing I would say is consistency. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you mirror exactly what I did. A gal on my team, she hates, she doesn't hate it. She really enjoys door knocking. And I told her, I told her my experience with it. I've done it. I enjoy it. I never got any leads from it. But she enjoys it. So I was like, do it. Go do it. Just be consistent about it and continue to follow up with those people. And if you're knocking on their doors, get their contact information. But no, just being consistent with everything is the biggest thing. And for me, and I'll be honest, I struggle with this still. But having your why, like having your drive, what is driving you to do what you do? So for me, when I had that first monster year, my drive was my kid. I literally had a sonogram of my kid sitting on my nightstand. And so every morning I wake up and I see that, I'm like, damn it, I gotta get out of fucking bed at 5 a.m. and get going. And I'd go after that. And so have that why, be consistent with everything you're doing, and just go after it. Don't be afraid of it. I mean, don't get rid of the excuses that you've got. I mean, because the excuses will be there. If you look for them, those excuses will be there. And again, I still, to this day, I still catch myself giving those excuses. And I have to pull myself back and be like, quit fucking around. Don't be an idiot. Get your shit together. Have your why and be consistent.
Yeah, love it. Powerful stuff, man. Last thing here, just in case those are watching, listening, want to maybe follow you, or maybe they got a referral for your area. What's the best place to have? Facebook or a website?
Yeah. Don't go to the website because it'll go to lead capture and I'll get your contact info that way. I would say phone number. Again, I'll give you my cell phone number. It's 785-477-5485. Email is probably, phone number and email probably the best way. Email is Kyle, K-Y-L-E, at Homes for Sale MHK, and that's K-Y-L-E at H-O-M-E-S. Don't forget the S on there. For sale, all spelled out, F-O-R-S-A-L-E MHK.com. You can follow me on Facebook. You can do that. But if you really have a question or concern on anything, just that's probably the easiest and best way to get a hold of me. And again, I mean, I'm open to talking anything. Oh, for my market, it's Manhattan, Kansas, not Manhattan, New York.
Love it. Such powerful stuff. And those watching and listening, I don't interview podcasts for this, but information without implementation is just the start of delusion. Information isn't power. It's taking that information, taking massive action on it that creates the power for you to create the life you know you want, deserve. And Kyle shared so many amazing pieces of advice with you today. But as you learn from him, man, he takes action and he's consistent. So take action, be consistent, go out there, create the life you know you want, deserve. And Kyle, I know how busy you are. I truly appreciate you taking time out of a busy day of here. This has been a lot of fun, dude.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yep. Sounds good, my friend. All right, you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Listen, we'll see you next time.
Thanks.